What's up, guys? Josh Lau here with the Card Guys, and today we got a very, very special guest. Joining us today is my good friend Alex Slotnick. Alex, say hi to the channel and give us a little introduction about yourself.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks for having me on, Josh. A little bit about me. I started playing Flesh and Blood, oh gosh, like in Tales of Aria.
Mm-hmm.
So was that like almost 3 years ago now? And my main hero for a long time was Lexi. Was sad to see Lexi go. I played Lexi throughout Starvo meta, so she was very near near to my heart, even though it was very hard at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I think to me, my greatest accomplishment as a player is winning a PQ on Lexi during Starvo meta. That is how I did that. I don't even know.
So you, you
So
you played Lexi before she was cool, so you know.
yes, I'm a hipster. I'm a
Yeah,
hipster,
yeah.
Lexi. And then I've been in a weird, like homeless sort of situation where I was like, I don't know what to play. But I am good friends with you, Josh, and you started talking about Boltyn, and I was like, okay, that sounds kind of cool. I'll check it out. It's a really cheap deck to build,
Yeah.
for the most part. Like most of the major staples outside of like dynamos are like pretty cheap. So I was like, okay, I'll check out Boltyn. And so here we are,
Yeah.
winning a PQ on combo Boltyn.
Yep. Yeah, taking down a PQ in week 4 with Pure Sabers combo Boltyn. Uh, just a little bit more background information for the viewers. I think, Alex, you might be the person that I've played the most games with now. When I was in Hong
Oh,
Kong, that was my brother from another mother, Jack Tang, and then Nathan had a good run there as well, but Nathan doesn't really go to armories anymore, and I play you almost every armory, so
yes,
we
we've
probably
played
have 30 official games at least,
at least. Yeah, we've played a
and
lot.
yeah, and we're from the same area, so we do play quite a bit. So
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of a I was able to like rub off a little bit of warrior on you. So
Yeah, snuck in warrior,
yep,
and turns out I like having cards that block and armor that blocks. It's
yeah,
really
that's
nice.
that's definitely something that Lexi does not have. So
No.
okay, so let's talk about this list. First of all, I'll just kind of scroll through it and let the people at home take a look at this. So, for those of you who have been playing Boltyn for a while, this will look there's some familiar faces, there's some unfamiliar faces. Um I guess the first question I have for you is why do you hate Raiden?
I so I've tested Raiden and I don't hate it, and I think that I think it makes sense, but whenever you put Raiden into the deck, it means certain things for construction, right? It means like I have to I can't really afford to put in a lot of reacts. I can't really afford to put in like I have some more. We'll talk about it as we get in the list, but I have some warrior cards in the list, and I can't really afford to put those in. And it just pushes you in a certain direction. And I've just always gravitated towards. I really like combo decks. I always have. Josh knows I played combo Viscerai
Oh
for a
god,
while,
God.
and yeah, we
Oh,
have
we have quite the
funny.
story there. Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
we have time.
I'll tell the TLDR version. So we were playing in
Yeah.
Skirmish Season 3, the one with the Razor Reflex mat. And I remember I had to play Dawnblade Dory, and I played against Oldhim in the quarterfinals, Oldhim in the semifinals, and those were such difficult games. Dawnblade Dory against Oldhim back then were so hard. It took me like an hour and a half to beat both of those
Yes.
Oldhims, and they were very good Oldhims.
Law games.
Yeah. And then I see Alex in the finals, and he's playing Viscerai. I'm like, okay, this is the season where Viscerai like LL'd in like record time, by the way.
Yeah.
So we go into his second turn, and I remember I said to you, I'm gonna be really pissed off if you could kill me with no rune chance, and I'm at 19 or 17 with full armor.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
did you proceed to do?
I proceeded to kill you on basically full life with full armor from 0 rune chance,
Yep.
which is just the thing. I also like
With
that game is
the
funny
hood, the
because
helmet,
yeah,
right?
with the Hope Merchant's hood,
Yep.
I honestly kept a really bad hand and then just like Hope Merchant's hooded it away and was
Yep.
like, maybe we'll draw into gas, and we
Yep.
drew like exact like the
And
best possible 4 card hand.
so the game took literally like 6 minutes to finish, whereas the other two
Yeah.
took like an hour and a half. And so, and he would use this mat, at armory and stuff just to taunt me. Okay.
Oh.
Anyways, so you're a fan of combo decks. This is a combo deck.
Yes.
Lexi also was kind of a combo deck too. Like
Yes.
with when
Yes.
Bullseye Bracer was still around, you could have those
Yeah.
really big burst turns. Um, so you kind of stayed away from Raiden because you prefer to play a little bit more of a combo game, and I think a lot of people, if you've played enough Raiden Boltyn, you can get fatigued by quite a few decks in this format.
Yeah.
Kasai, Dorinthia, Victor, Betsy. There's a lot of decks in the format that if you don't fat stack, even if you do fat stack, you may not even be able to run that many cards. The Rabers build that I used a week ago has 13 pieces of equipment. So literally, if you fat stack, you could only run 67. So it's not like you're getting into the 70s. Remembrance is also a clunky card when you need to play kind of tempo-y with Raiden. So this is kind of like why we've defaulted towards the Saber hot streak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just allows you to like not having the Raiden package just allows you to be you have a lot of slots that become free when you say, okay, I'm just going to ignore this and I'm going to devote fully to Saber strategy. And it means you can make your Saber strategy more consistent. I think you lose like a little bit of equity into certain matchups, but my opinion was those were not the most popular decks that I was likely to see at a PQ, and like even looking towards Nats, it may not. And we'll have to see how Misveil affects things. But right now, if I were going to play Nothing Changed, I would bring this almost the exact same list.
Yeah, those extra 3 to 4 deck slots do make a pretty big difference. Also, being able to fully support your combo plan means when you come into contact with those decks that you would combo anyways as the Raber style decks like Katsu, the Mirror, Teklo, Vossens, etc. You just have a pretty substantial advantage when your deck is constructed in such a smooth manner. Okay, let's start running through the cards. I think the very first thing that we need to talk about is all of these warrior cards that are not light warrior cards. So we have Blade Flurry, Blade Runner, as well as Glint the Quicksilver. I know Slice and Dice used to be in this deck list, but it's not anymore. So talk to me a little bit about Blade Flurry, Blade Runner, and Glint, and then we'll talk about Slice and Dice, why it's not in the deck list anymore.
Yeah, so Blade Flurry, Blade Runner, and Glint all serve the same purpose. It's for post combo, really, to support closing the game. It's actually notable that they're not light cards because they will not go to soul when I am comboing off. So if I'm in a matchup like Victor or Teklevasan or somebody or Warrior, where like, hey, they're very likely to live through the combo, even if I triple Lumina. We need a way to like close the game. Blade Flurry has actually been, I'd say, an all-star in the deck. Like it just does everything you need to post. It's good pre-combo even sometimes. Like if you get in situations sometimes where you actually have a lot of soul and you haven't drawn it into the combo, you can use it to be able to block with dynamos and then push some damage, softening them up for the eventual combo turn. And Blade Runner is just that same thing. Blade Runner is just really efficient. Like it's just a really efficient clapback. We can keep 2 cards. So if they come in with, this is especially true like in Victor, where they come in like something like Red Disable for 9, right? So they're going to throw Red Disable. We're going to block 7 on a disable, and then we're going to send 7 back. 7 back. It would be, yeah.
Yep.
So it's just a really efficient and kind of an 8 value swing if you block, since you blocked with dynamos too.
I actually think we might have jumped the gun slightly. Let's talk a
Yeah,
little bit about what the combo is and talk about a
yeah,
little bit
yeah,
about the equipment, because the equipment even is not standard. So for
yeah, yeah.
those of you who are unaware about what the Boltyn combo looks like, this involves um, generating some cards into soul and then using Lumina Ascension after you've charged to attack 6 to 8 times with your swords. So your swords get discounted because of Courage of Bladehold. So they don't, swords Centauri Saber normally cost 1. Hot Streak normally costs 1, but with Courage of Bladehold, they don't cost anything. And then Lumina Ascension, if you've charged, allows you to attack additional times with your weapons. So you can attack 6 times. With Gallantry Gold, that is 30 damage. Without Gallantry Gold, that is 24 damage. If you get a triple Lumina, then you'll be attacking 8 times. So that is 40 damage with... let's see. Doing math on live. Let's see.
Yeah.
So you get 3, so it becomes 5 times 8. So you do 40 without Gallantry Gold, 48 with Gallantry Gold. Of note, when you have Spirit of Arena in play, you could also go with via the Vanguard, and via the Vanguard will pump Lumina Ascension. You also have access to cards like Oath of Steel for when you really need to high roll the very, very defensive decks as well. So that's basically the gist of it. There's 3 copies of Lumina Ascension, but you can also tutor for it with Beacon of Victory. So you basically will set either Lumina or Beacon into Arsenal. You wait until you draw the other one, and then you can go. So this actually has been around since the first days of Boltyn, actually. So back in 2021, this was being played, but it didn't see a lot of play, just because eventually there was ice in the format, but people were more drawn to Starvo and Shannon, etc. So, but Boltyn combo is a powerful deck. I took Boltyn combo to Pro Tour 1 and Pro Tour 2 and the World Championships. So definitely a deck that I greatly enjoy. I guess let's back up a little bit, talk about the equipment, and then we'll kind of proceed. So
Okay.
why did you pick 1 Centauri Saber, 1 Hot Streak instead of 2 Sabers or 2 Hot Streaks, or a Parry Blade, or
Fairy Blade. So Hot Streak provides us a lot of equity in matchups where they are going to have attack actions, right? So Saber, I mean, KO. I mean, even decks like Guardian, which
Azalea.
most of their, Azalea, where most of their really good blocking cards are attacks. And we might be scared of like, hey, KO actually has a fridge now, right? He has a lot of armor. So in theory, they can starve your soul and block, because you need your soul to fuel the combo. So in theory, without Hot Streak, it would be much easier. Actually, and when we were on full Saber, both Centauri Sabers, you had to be a lot more careful. You still have to be careful, and you still have to, know what decks are likely to be able to, like, how much soul, what's the game state. But Hot Streak gives you a little bit of an edge sometimes you're able to combo against certain decks sooner than you would otherwise be able to, because they're going to have to give Hot Streak go again, and it maintains that go again throughout every sword swing from the Lumina combo. So if we get go again, we have go, and so we're in a situation where you have to go down to, like, maybe we're comboing on like 2 soul, which is like less than ideal. Hot Streak will be like, it's kind of a risk still, but like there are certain situations where you just need to take that risk, and Hot Streak will kind of carry you through sometimes.
Yep. Of note, both of these swords have memory. So Hot Streak will remember that has been blocked and will grant go again for the rest of the turn. Centauri Saber will remember that it's been blocked and will grant buffs to the next attacks. Sir Boltyn's hero ability only applies to the current attack, right? So there's a lot of people get confused and think that the first part of Boltyn's ability and Centauri Saber are exactly the same. They're a little bit different.
Yeah.
Okay, talk to us a little bit about the other equipment. Obviously, Courage of Bladehold. I mean, the deck doesn't function
Yeah.
without this.
Yes.
I guess the only thing of note to talk about this card is that you got to be careful with the temper. So decks with like Shred or
Yeah.
decks that have access to things that can banish, like I guess Ninja and Assassin have access to things like that. Um, I guess the only other small trick is that sometimes you don't block with Courage of Bladehold
Yeah.
to fake that you don't have the combo, and sometimes you do block with Courage of Bladehold to fake that you have the combo. So one of the best, I'll give you the most basic technique is, all right, let's say we're in a situation against KO and we kind of need to make a move. But we don't have the combo yet. So what we can do is we can block with Courage, block with Gallantry, block with the boots. That will basically set off every alarm bell in KO's head that, all right, now's the combo turn. You play your cards out, they'll block with Flesh Bag, you say, oh, JK, I'm not comboing. And then you can combo properly on the next turn. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is if you haven't watched Nathan Crawford's Arc-like lead match, I think week 6, he pulls off a very, very, very nice mind game against Lucas Oswald when he basically has the combo and Lucas has Flesh Bag, and Nathan chooses not to block with any of his armor, and he actually gets it done there. So there's a little bit of a nuance to using this properly. Okay, so in terms of arm pieces, you have Iron Song Versus as well as Gallantry Gold. You want to talk a little bit about why these are included?
Yeah, so Iron Song Versus and Gallantry Gold, they are different role fillers. Honestly, Iron Song Versus is primarily there for being a 3-block. Like, it's going to block 3. And, the effect is not irrelevant. It can, because of Hot Streak, you can do things like with Iron Song Versus, like, if you have a blue, you can Iron Song, swing Hot Streak, and then people are incentivized to block that card where maybe they wouldn't, and you might actually get like a Dynamo's re-trigger. So, and we'll talk about Dynamos in a second, but so like that's primary, like versus very very straightforward. It's there to be a role filler when we really need armor block, and its effect is not irrelevant. Gallantry is what you'd like to run in everything if needing to block were not important. So you run Gallantry, and in some matchups like Victor, honestly, you'd like the I think you'd like the block value, but the being able to push additional damage on the combo turn much more important. So we are willing to forego 2 block and armor to be able to push additional damage.
I'd also like to add that anytime you're going for a triple Lumina, you're basically going to be running Gallantry Gold because it provides 8 value instead of 6 value. Also, I like what you said about Iron Song Versus being kind of annoying. This could also incentivize them to block with their armor before the combo turn, which means extra burst damage on your combo turn. I don't want to give too many tips to people on how to play against this deck list, but basically, if you have armor, you really shouldn't be using it before the combo turn. That's generally how to do it. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the boots. So you have Valiant Dynamos, and there's no Snapdragons in this list.
Yeah,
very interesting.
That's probably controversial. I love Valiant Dynamos in this list. I'll be honest, there is a world where maybe you have Snapdragons in the board. It's something I've considered a lot. There are certain matchups where
1 extra soul, basically.
Yeah, 1 extra soul, and like where you're unlikely to get that much value out of Dynamos. So like matchups, I think of matchups like Azalea, where it's like I'm gonna be blocking a lot in that matchup, and I really might not end up getting that much value out of Dynamos. But ultimately, where I've kind of landed is if I get 2 to 3 value off of Dynamos, it's done its job. You're not gonna get as much Dynamo value as like you would in like a Hatchets list or a Kasai list. Like we're not gonna get like 15 value off dynamos over the course of a game, but like we're gonna get 5 or 6 on average, and that's still really good for a blocking piece of equipment. And honestly, most of the time I haven't really found that I needed Snapdragon scalers. It's Snapdragons is sort of like a safety blanket to me. It makes you feel better, but like most of the time if you're playing well, I don't think that I found that I needed them. I haven't really missed not having them.
So for those of you at home that are not familiar how to start the combo, so you have to charge. So that involves Bolt of Courage, Engulfing Light, Take Flight, or via the Vanguard, or something very complicated with Warband of Boltyn. We won't consider those cases at the moment. And so Snapdragons basically only helps if you have Bolt or Engulfing Light or Light the Way. And you don't have Beacon of Victory, and you don't have Spirit of Arena in play, and your opponent doesn't increase the power of your attack. So that's a lot of things that have to line up for you to need Snapdragons. So basically, I do agree. Snapdragons have basically become like a crutch. Like it's like you think you need them, but you don't actually need them, especially with this deck list. Okay, so let's move on and talk about the last piece. Warband of Boltyn, also supplemented here with Halo of Illumination. I guess I'll tell a little bit of a story. So before Warband of Boltyn was printed, and before Crown of Providence existed, so Warriors basically, we used to run Boltyn used to run kind of silly things in the head slot. So Hope Merchant's Hood was a very, very viable headpiece in combo Boltyn, because you got like a second look at 4 cards. We used to run Halo. We would pop Halo on turn 0, start with some extra soul. So this is why Boltyn in the past used to love going first. You basically started with 2 soul, and with Snapdragons, it's like you have 3 soul, so you're basically ready to go. Yeah. And the other piece that sometimes we used was Helm of the Sharp Eye. Very, very rare, but back then against Oldham, you needed 4 armor block to deny the Winter's Wail Frostbite. That was extremely important because if you had a Frostbite, you could not combo properly because he would ice react your combo piece because Spirit of Arena did not exist. So Boltyn has run several weird helmets in the past, but now it's kind of consolidated onto Warband and Halo. I think Halo has traditionally been used against really fast matchups and against Kano. Do you even bring in Halo against non-Kanos? Like let's say you're playing against Fi. Are you going with Halo or Warband?
I'm really not. I mean, I'm playing Warband mainboard into everything outside of Kano. Like really, Halo is just there for Kano. I think that there's merit. Like I definitely think there's merit to running in other matchups. Like we could probably talk about there's some matchups where it would be worth it, but there's so much value because of its interaction. And I mean, we can cover this later, but because of its interaction with Spirit of Arena, the interaction is just so powerful that I just think it's worth not like, yes, it's like nice I get to start with an extra soul, but again, as we get into the list, we're pretty defensive, so we're generally okay to get the soul. Like we're generally okay. We're gonna be all right getting the soul we need, even against aggressive decks.
Yeah, we'll probably play 2 soul shields during the course of the game if we're playing defensively. Plus, you're gonna get 1 soul to start the game, and you probably get a soul somewhere else during the game. Okay, so Warband basically played with pretty much everything. One of the things about Warband of Boltyn in the Raiden list is that it's very difficult to pay for this cost because your deck is all red and yellow. So having blues makes Warband of Boltyn very, very strong. Also, the E-pot in the side. This is this looks really inconspicuous, but this is actually how you get 60-something damage out of this deck.
E-pot MVP.
Yeah, E-pot plus Warband. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so I guess that's all the equipment other than... okay, you have AB2. So I presume against Kano, it's Halo, no rune, courage.
Yeah.
Against decks where you really want AB, maybe you're playing no rune boots, like against Viserai or Vincent. No rune boots seem
Yeah,
decent.
null rune boots generally the play. I've gone back on Viserai. So like if you know the thing is if you know exactly what kind of Viserai you're facing, you might want if they're aggressive, you might want dynamos. Because you might actually get value out of dynamos. Against the combo version, or the more like turtley version, we would run null rune plus gallantry. But yeah, for the most part, it's null rune boots is the play.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so I think that covers all of the equipment. So and we already talked about Blade Flurry, Blade Runner. We talked about Glint and how they're useful post combo. Sometimes we'll use them during the mid game as well. One of the nice things to note is that if you look at the ratio of these non-light cards, some of them are red, some of them are blue. We also have a couple blue Blade Runners on the side. So our second cycle, if we ever get to it, is going to have a mix of reds and blues.
Yes.
So that is nice. So a card that I know you used to play was Slice and Dice Red. Why is that no longer in the list?
So Slice and Dice Red, I found that it just didn't help me close games, which is really what it's there to do. It allows you to present basically an additional like 4 damage. So you present like 4, 6, 8, 8 off just Slice and Dice and a soul, which is good. But if we're in a situation where we need to close the game and maybe like we've hit all our beacons on the combo or something, Blade Flurry much better because it's like, oh, here's some damage at reaction speed. Slice and Dice is just to face up, and so we just want some more kind of hidden knowledge. I valued the hidden knowledge, and I think the Slice and Dices ended up becoming more defensive tools to allow me to live longer. So I was like, I'm less worried about like generally speaking, unless we're very unlucky, we're gonna have some closing power in the late game. And so we'd rather just make sure that we can live to see the combo, which is where Slice and Dice ended up getting cut for.
Okay, so it sounds like you were just maybe drawing too many of these cards.
Yeah, warrior cards, and like you might, and when
you don't heal.
You're ready to a situation that can happen is like you're ready to combo, and then you like keep drawing the like warrior cards, and you're like, and like maybe you don't have spirit out, and that's just like real awkward. So it just helped like clunkiness,
Sure.
like smooth things out to remove some of the warrior pieces.
Okay, sure. Okay, let's talk about the charge cards. For those of you who are Raiden Boltyn fans, this is gonna look very odd. There's, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 charge cards, which is for Raiden Boltyn, typically you're running like 30 to 33. I guess talk to me a little bit about I guess let's talk about the Bolt of Courage first. The red and blues.
Bolt of Courage, very very great combo starter, especially if you have a beacon, because you can get to draw a card. It allows you to have this high roll potential of like maybe you're gonna start with Bolt, you're gonna beacon over, you manage to make it hit, and then you get to draw the card. And if you draw Oath or another Lumina, if you're like you're gonna double Lumina or a beacon, another beacon, yeah. So it's like if you draw any of those or a cataclysm, like yeah, there's so many high roll cards that you can draw off of the Bolt of Courage card draw. Sometimes even just like you're in a situation where like, what you mentioned, energy, you have like, you used energy pot to play Bologna and you need one resource to pop gallantry, that can get you the card. And I mean, that's happened. it happened to me at least in several, and one game in the PQ, and I played the same list at ATL PTI event, and I drew Oath of Steel on a triple Lumina turn. That's just like a ridiculous amount. For reference, if you have Oath of Steel on triple Lumina, that adds 10 damage to each saber swing. So making the total combo at
68.
like 68 damage. It's insane.
Yep. Not even Olden would survive that. So
No.
yeah. Okay, so Bolt of Courage, your preferred combo starter. Of course, Engulfing Light also decent, especially with Beacon of Victory, because it basically refunds the beacon.
Yeah.
Quite nice. And the main reason they're really good is because they're zero cost. So if you think about on the combo turn, you need a resource for your Gallantry Gold. You may need multiple resources if you're using Warband. If you have Take Flight, then you also need an additional resource. So having Bolt or Engulfing Light be your combo starter means no matter what 5th card you have, and I'm talking about your pitch card, you'll be fine to power the turn. Okay, so that's kind of why they're there. The blues are there because I guess we need to talk a little bit more. For those of you that play Raiden a lot, you're like, why are there blues in this deck? Well, I think blues are... I personally do run blues in my Raiden deck. I also think blues are very good for Warband. Blues allow you to pay for verses. Blues allow you to pay for the sabers. And the blues allow for a cleaner finish of the game. So one of the classic ways to end the game is V of the Vanguard from Arsenal, charge a card, give it go again, Saber, give it go again, Hot Streak, give it go again, Bolt of Courage, give it go again.
Or yeah.
Something like that to end the game is very, very, very common. So having blues allows you to do that V, Saber, Hot Streak stuff. All right, there's Take Flight in this list as well. I know this is a card you've been thinking about, like, I don't know if I really need this.
Yeah. Take Flight it's an interesting spot. I will say I was convinced over the course of the event that it belongs, but also I was testing Express Lightning red. I was keeping the blue Take Flights because I actually think the blues actually have more value to me than the reds in the weirdest way, but like because the blues, blue block 3, go again card, really good in the late, like blue Take Flight so good in the late game, to be honest with you, like way better than it should be.
You're talking about the turn right after you combo, right?
Yeah, like the turn, like when we've gone when we're in the post combo state, blue Take Flight it turns on your hero ability. It can be really awkward if you've gotten them to a low life total. Because then it's like if you're in like a situation with Guardian, you go blue Take Flight, they have to block a card, they have to block Hot Streak, they have to block Centauri Saber, and then if you have a fourth attack, you might be able to get their whole hand basically off of a blue. So that's pretty strong. Red Take Flight is really good. It just is a red that costs 1. It's a charge card that costs 1, and that is a very premium space of like it costing 1. We have the blues to support it, but typically pre-combo, you don't want to keep, generally speaking, I don't want to keep a 3-card hand to charge. That's just not where I want to be at. So most of the time this blocks, I'll be honest, it blocks a lot of the time, but it is really, really amazing post-combo. It is still a great starter for the combo because you don't have to give it go again, and it inherently has go again. So, that's one less soul you need to execute the combo. So red Take Flight definitely has earned its spot, in my opinion. I was on the chopping block for a while, but I think it belongs, even if sometimes it's clunky.
Sure. Okay, the other charge card, I guess we'll save V for its own category, is Blue Light the Way. This is just to up your blue count, and sometimes is relevant.
Yeah, and sometimes if you need to start the combo with it, it's fine. Like, I mean, we don't have that many yellows, so like, there's a fair chance you're not going to be able to have the yellow to like activate Light the Way's effect. But if you do, they're not like they block it by 1 and then you beacon over. Hey, you've saved a soul, so great. Yep. So it's a role filler for sure.
Yep. Yeah, you have to realize that sometimes you have to start your combo with these blues. not ideal, but sometimes that's just how it goes. All right, so we've covered all those. Now let's get into all these specialty yellows. There's a lot of familiar faces here, but let's just run through. Give me your thoughts on Banner of Gallantry, and I'll kind of like give the give some analysis for our Raiden friends. How we use them differently. So Banner of Gallantry.
Banner of Gallantry is a fantastic card for us because it creates the Quicken token does so many things. The Quicken token allows us to reset dynamos. The Quicken token is if we're like nearing setting up the combo, we can just sit on the Quicken token, wait for the rest of our combo pieces, and again we've saved. Like if we have a combo starter, like one of our charge card starters, it means like we don't have to have Beacon be one of our combo pieces. We could use the Quicken on like an engulfing light and then go, combo piece, Lumina, or, whatever we need to do to execute the combo and go from there. And we didn't have to, Quicken could just smooth that out. But one of my favorite uses is like in the early game, it allows us to, if we've managed to charge a Gallantry and we have a Quicken, it means we get to a turn of blocking with dynamos, and then all we have to keep is a blue or yellow, and we're going to swing for it. We get to block more damage, and we get to present a little damage, which can be hard to do pre-combo. You have to find your spaces where it makes sense to do that, because you do want to try to lower their life total to make the combo easier.
That's extremely, extremely important. I can't emphasize just how important it is to chip away at their life total. And this puts people in a very, very difficult spot, because let's say you're chipping in with a little bit of let's say literally you charge Banner of Gallantry, you keep a single blue, and you're going to go attack.
Yeah.
I mean, do they literally give you 2 cards and slow down their offense? Do they take 4? Do they block with their armor on vanilla attacks? None of those situations are good. And so this card definitely has its place. Okay. Beacon of Victory. This is a card that we've obviously talked quite a bit about. This normally this will be for +1. Sometimes you give it +2 to make sure the engulfing light will hit, or to make sure the bolt of courage hit. A lot of people kind of know that they should overblock slightly on the bolt of courage, but that's basically how you use this. You can also use this once you have Spirit of Arena out in a very tricky manner if you have a Lumina and a Beacon. So you can just you could charge, give it go again with the Lumina, because the Lumina will get your action point back, break all your equipment that you need to, and then attack. And then it's like, oh no, I only have 1 Lumina. Sad day for me.
Oops, here's another.
Oh no, here's another, right? So, okay, so let me give a very specific example, because this actually came up at Pro Tour 2. There was a very, very weird line I had to take at Pro Tour 2, because I played 2 Luminas, and then I had a Beacon as well. And so normally you would use the Beacon on the first attack, but I had to ensure that my first Saber attack hit, or I'd run out of soul. Yeah. So I had to keep the Beacon for that. So sometimes you aren't going to play the Beacon immediately. Normally, in 95% of combo situations, it's very straightforward how to use Beacon of Victory. But once in a while, it's beneficial to just take a look. Is there another line that you can take, either by flashing in Lumina or ensuring that your Lumina's hit if you have a double Lumina already? So those are some really corner cases. But Alex, you played the deck 500 times. I probably played this deck 500 times. These are the things these are the fringe cases that come up, and that this is the difference between winning and losing in 5% of games. So
and I mean, I had it come up in the PQ. I had a situation where Riptide had I was on against a Riptide, and they presented Remorseless with Seek and Destroy and Lace with Blood Rot. Okay, so it's like 12. It's like 12 damage, and I can't block. So I have like 3 combo pieces. I have Lumina, or I have a Lumina, a beacon, and a beacon in arsenal, and then like a charge card and some other card for my fourth card. And so I was in that situation. I have 3 soul. I'm like, I can block this out by like blocking the beacon and blocking my armor, but that actually puts me in a really awkward spot of like, if I don't draw, if they present something that's really disruptive the next turn, but there is like a small percentage chance because they run non-attacks, they can starve me out. So I had to do the same thing. I had to like, go off with 2, then hold the 3rd beacon to make sure that that last attack would hit. And yeah, that line was not one that would have been immediately like it's very nuanced of when to do that.
Yeah, this deck is a lot harder to play than it looks because, first of all, your defense has to be very good. You have to understand what every single deck in the format, their threats are, as well as what their game plan is, and how, whether you're going for double Lumina, triple Lumina, whether you're going for fatigue, whether or not you can pivot. Are you going to be playing your Blade Runners and Blade Flurries during first cycle, etc.? And then you have to know like all the threats during your combo. So like, for example, Collapsing Trap with Riptide, or back then it was Oldhim ice reacting and Stalagmite blocking and stuff like that. And then you have to know how to close the game out against a variety of heroes. Warrior, cough cough. So it is harder to play than it looks. Obviously Raiden also has its difficulties, but yeah, this is not a deck that you can really just pick up and immediately have success, especially if you're newer and you haven't like played against every hero in the game. A lot, like Alex, you've been playing for a long time, so like a lot of the knowledge that you've built up over the years can translate to playing defensively correctly as combo Boltyn.
Yeah, and it was still hard. I mean, even having played for a long time, I'll say I lost a lot when I first picked up this list. Like I was losing a lot. And it took me, like 50 games or something to kind of get my feet under me and be like, okay, like you have to make really good blocking decisions and like you said, have to have a really good understanding of when to play D-Reacts, when not to play D-Reacts, like, especially against decks that can punish you with like CNCs and things. Like you have to know those lines very well. And you've never hurt in your heart so much until you have all your combo pieces in hand and they present CNC pummel. It's like you're like,
Yeah, that happened at the Armory. Yeah, I remember that. All right, let's talk a little bit about Celestial Cataclysm. So this deck list is not running Bolting Blade, so this is the only popper against Prism. Not a huge deal because this deck list does deal with Prism pretty effectively.
We have Command and Conquer too.
Oh yeah, okay, sure. So there's some extra poppers in the side. So Celestial Cataclysm basically used as an extra outlet. Post combo works very well with V. This is how you often kill people: is V, charge, Saber, Hot Streak, Cataclysm, finish with something.
Yeah.
Anything that really talk about this card?
No, Celestial Cataclysm is amazing. It's just an amazing card. It's really, it's really, really. I think it's actually costed very fairly, but like, because it's 3 souls a lot. You realize that after playing the deck a while, like 3 soul can be a lot. Maybe not post combo, but like, you're never playing this pre combo for the most part. I think I've played it pre combo like in total like 5 times over like a lot of games.
I think it's literally 0 for me.
Yeah, like there's very rare situations where it is correct to play it pre-combo, and like I'll be honest, probably like 3 of those times were incorrect where I played it pre-combo. So when you have Spirit Out, though, I will say that when you have Spirit Out, you could be a little bit more fast and loose with your soul. You don't need quite as much soul. Fair. So
yep.
No, but that's it.
Okay. Have you ever started a Lumina combo with Warband into Cataclysm?
Like Warband charging Cataclysm or Warband
playing Cataclysm. Normally you Warband and just go into your combo, but
no, I've never started. I can't say I've ever done that. But that sounds amazing.
It
Like,
does sound
if I have the
amazing.
soul, if I have the soul to do that, that would be. I will save it. It is great to save for on your combo turn because you can
Yeah.
go do all my combo and then present Celestial Cataclysm. Oh my,
Not,
yeah,
not
that's
not
gross.
quite correct. You present all your attacks except one,
Yeah, yeah.
and then
Then
Cataclysm,
Cataclysm
and
and
then
then
your last
swing.
attack.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so good card. All right. Lumina Ascension. We've already talked about this quite a bit. I guess let's talk about the corner cases. So sometimes you're going to have to do what we call a baby combo. So that means comboing with a single Lumina Ascension. This normally would only happen if you're forced to do it, or if you really need to gain some life against decks you're trying to fatigue. So let's say they're taking some time to set up. Let's say you blocked a bit with your hand, and then they decide to set up. So now you have the Lumina. You could break courage and start swinging, gain a couple health back. That might make the difference against, I guess, not what was it? Hanabi Blaster.
Yeah, like Hanabi Black.
The not Hana the thing with overpower that deals 5. I forgot the name of it.
Oh yeah, that is Hanabi Blaster.
Hanabi Blaster Dash, or I guess Azalea would be the other one.
Yeah.
So those
you can do Dash IO might be another matchup because they're never gonna block like even a single combo. They block really inefficiently, so you're very likely to gain like 2 or 3 health. We have a lot of misses. We do so like I have single Lumina with this deck almost never.
Okay.
So like I very rarely single Lumina. And I don't know. There's like that. There are situations where it is correct, but I almost always am trying to wait for at least double, just because like it. If you can survive to double, it's so worth it. But yeah, like you do need to be prepared to single Lumina, because otherwise, like if it's the difference between if it's going to give you a chance to win, just pull the trigger.
Yep.
And you're like way behind, you got to just do it.
Okay. Well, single Luminas are not very exciting, Alex.
Nah.
Let's talk about Lumina go Boomina. Let's talk about triple Luminaing people. So that is a primary win con in half a dozen matchups at least. In this current format. So talk to me a little bit about the difference between double and triple Lumina in terms of the setup. Obviously, the triple Lumina does a butt ton more damage. Also, theoretically, could also get you fatigued as well. So walk me through a little bit about triple Lumina.
Yeah, so triple Lumina is a powerful tool. You need to know what matchups are correct, and we're not going to go into all of them where we try to do that, but you have to kind of figure out which matchups are correct to triple Lumina. I will say, we'll talk about it later. We don't have to cover all of it right now, but like Oath of Steel serves as like Lumina 0.5. And there are situations, and I think I talked to you about this, Josh, at the Armory the other night. There are situations where I've started to feel like Oath of Steel double Lumina might be correct against certain decks. Like you would think you would want to triple Lumina them, but their defensive values are so strong that you don't want to deck yourself by triple Luminating, because a fair amount of our deck is still light. So if we triple Lumina, we're putting a lot of our deck into Soul, and that means that if we didn't kill them on the combo turn, we might not be able to close the game, because like your deck after you've comboed and you triple Lumina'd is like blade. Hopefully you have some blade flurries left and some blade runners so you can actually do something. But there are situations where like if depending on what you've blocked with, you may not really have anything to close the game. So triple Luna, very powerful tool, does a ton of damage. If they're at the right life total, it just kills them. And so like always be aware of that. But
you mentioned closing the game. Do you know how I used to close games as a combo Boltyn?
No, tell me.
I used to close games with Route.
Yes, I tried it. I tried
Yeah.
it in the list for a little while, and I was like, "This is so." It feels really clunky, even with our blue count. But
Mhm.
I do like route. That's yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, the blade flurries basically do the same thing, but the route does
Yeah,
give you a little bit more of a kill range.
yeah,
Basically, you can kill them from 5 or 6 if they're an attack action based deck. So, like you swing with Centauri Saber, they block, it buffs it to 3. You route the card back to hand, and the Centauri Saber will still remember, so you can actually kill them from 6, which is quite nice. What I used to use that against the defensive Bravos, defensive Oldhams in combination with Big Beacon of Victory. So sometimes during the combo, I would get like I'd end with like 7 to 8 soul, and they'd have like 10 to 12 life. So they're a little bit out of beacon range, and so I'd have to combine both of them at the same time. Plus, route never goes back into your deck, so you
yes.
always have it.
Yeah.
But I think people are a little bit better now at pitch stacking and remembering your pitch stack. And route is very infamous now, so it may not be the best choice at the moment to play that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Soul Shield. So this, alongside with what's the name of that card? So, oh man, the new Boltyn card.
That is
Saving Grace.
Saving
Grace.
Grace.
Right? I
Yeah,
think
that
it's
sounds
Saving
right.
Grace. Yeah,
That sounds right.
So these cards are going to be all stars in this deck. Talk to me a little bit about Soul Shield. I already mentioned Saving Grace in a whole nother video.
Soul Shield is one of the, I mean, just straight up one of the best cards in the deck. It is because it does everything you want to do, right? It actually, if you think about it, it helps you cycle, because it allows you to pitch a card. That's most of the time you're like, oh, sad. A lot of decks are like, sad, I have to pitch a card on defensive. This deck, because we're wanting to draw to certain combo pieces. Actually, like a lot of times we're like, I'm good. I'm game to pitch that card. I get to preserve a card in deck and be defensive and get a soul. Yes,
Yeah.
all of these things are, and it's one of the reasons that the new, you talked about it, but the new combo P or the new defense react, yeah, Saving Grace is so powerful is because it's the same thing: defensive value, charge soul, and we get to like cycle a little bit. So that's really what Soul Shield does. You almost always play Soul Shield if you can, like, because that's going to help you get to that, like, around that, we're generally, the bar of comboing is like 3 soul. We can just consider that like baseline. So like that helps you get to that baseline. So drawing 1 Soul Shield in a game, actually kind of important. When games where you don't draw any Soul Shields suck. Like you're like, oh my gosh, please, where are my Soul Shields?
Yes. It is a weird thought, but you're right. I'm like, where are my soul shields? I really could use a soul shield right now.
Yeah.
I really want to get an extra soul. I don't want to have to take 6 damage to charge my soul the regular way. So you could think of it like every single card in Soul is 6 value. So that's why Halo, a lot of the times in the very fast matchups, was worth it. Plus Snapdragon. So those, even though Halo and Snapdragons don't have a defensive value written on them, many times they're worth a carrying husk. So
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Spirit of Arena. Now, this is one of my favorite cards of all time.
Okay.
Oh my god, this card is so sick.
Card's bonkers. Yeah, it's bonkers.
Yeah, if you see this in the first 3 turns of the game, you said what, like the chance of you winning goes up like 20%?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Games where the games where you have Spirit out and games where you don't have Spirit out are totally different. Like Spirit out in the first several turns, you're always like, oh, I'm chilling, like I'm cruising. Like that's just makes everything like you can. What's crazy, Josh? I don't know if I because of Spirit of Arena, you could do things like I played against a game against Olivia. This was on Talishar, but I played against Olivia. They played one of that Gord. It's one of the Demigon cards that kills a soul when it hits. And I was at 1 soul. They took me down to 0 soul. And I charged up to 1 and triple Lumina'd them off 1 soul because of Spirit of Arena. But that's like the power of Spirit of Arena is like you can get away with doing things that you'd never be able to do without them because you get 3 action points. So that's like, functions effectively as having another 3 soul.
Yep. So that makes your post combo game stronger with Beacon, with Celestial Cataclysm. This enables you to get around things like ALS with in
Yep.
Prism. I guess let's talk about this Warband of Bolana Spirit of Arena interaction, because this is actually key to triple illuminating people.
Yeah, so with Spirit Out, because it gives, for those, again, if you're not familiar, it gives Lumina Ascension, makes it an instant, and then Lumina Ascension has Go Again. So you can Warband, pitch a, one of my favorite plays is Warband, pitch a blue, use the 3rd resource to pay for Gallantry, then charge a yellow. You get to draw a card. We give ourselves that chance to high roll of drawing Oath or another Beacon, or, and then we're gonna go into our full combo. Generally, we'd like to be triple illuminating, but a lot of times, I mean, I'll almost always pop Bologna if I have Spirit Out to start the combo, because it just
gives you that
allows,
chance for the
it gives you that chance to draw the Oath or the 3rd Lumina.
Mm-hmm. And this is partly why you have Energy Potion in your sideboard, right?
Because yes, absolutely.
That pays for the Warband, allows you to use that final card for, if it's Oath or Lumen or Beacon, you'd obviously use it. It allows you to possibly pay for your Gallantry gold, or to maybe as a card at the very, very end, depending on what you draw, or an arsenal card. Okay, so yeah, Spirit Arena, very, very strong card. I guess the last card to talk about is Via the Vanguard. This card has a lot of use. Sometimes you double charge it on turn 0. Sometimes you pitch it to Soul Shield for second cycle. Sometimes you use it to start combos. Sometimes you use it to start combos with Spirit. Sometimes you play it post combo. Lots and lots of situations.
I think V is the card I most often close the game with. V of the Vanguard, very powerful card to finish the game. But also, like, talking about funny energy potion interactions, mm-hmm. V is like a card where, like, if you have Spirit Out and you have energy potion, you can do stuff like pop energy potion, pop Gallantry, double charge light cards, and then like double Lumina. So that puts your combo at, +2 on each saber, +4 on each swing. So that's 6, 12. Yeah, it's 20 was.
It's 36.
Yeah, 36 damage.
Or 42 with the Gallantry gold. Really nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So very powerful card. A card where if you're playing this deck, you need to be cautious about how many of these you block with, because you want to make sure, you want to try to have at least one for post the combo.
Sometimes it's correct to block with 3 cards and then just pitch V, swing with the hot streak, move on with life, or sometimes even like activate Ironsong versus swing with the Centauri Saber. Getting the V's back in your deck is really important. Okay, so you have 49 cards main board and a pretty substantial sideboard. Quite a few of these are defensive cards, so let's run through those first. So we got Sink Below, Fate Foreseen. These are the ones that come in the most, I presume. Because this allows you to, like, Sink Below allows you to dig deeper into your deck. Fate Foreseen obviously allows you to dig deeper into your deck. And they give good value. They block Blake.
Yeah, they're great block cards. They help you cycle. They do come in any deck where they're going to be presenting physical attacks. They come in. Basically, this
is almost a main deck card.
Yeah, you would almost just consider these main decks, if not for there's just some decks that don't attack you on that vector. So it's mostly for the ease of the way that I like to sideboard, that they're in the sideboard. Sure. Some people would do it differently, but that's just how I prefer to sideboard.
Okay, the other defense reaction you have is Steelblade Shunt. Now I'm gonna disagree with you. I actually think these 2 Steelblade Shunts should be red unmovables.
They probably should. Yeah, they probably should be. Honestly, so there's a small niche scenario where the reason I made them Steelblade Shunts was if you ever happen to draw a blue, a soul shield, and a steel blade shunt, that's like,
Okay.
there's a very small chance. And like honestly, and I noticed this particularly with Oasis Respite, because I run Oasis into certain like very like mainly Azalea and Guardians.
Mhm.
Where it's like any turn where I got to like Oasis plus Soul Shield in the same turn, like that's like premium. Like you just get so much defensive value off of blue. But yeah, probably they should be a movable. Honestly, I actually think these should be bolting blades.
Mm.
If but that's like this slot is really, I'll say the Steel Blade Shunt slot and also the Oasis slot, very meta dependent. And even the Command and Conquer is very meta dependent. Um, with Azalea seeing a little bit less play, I actually might consider making the Command and Conquer something else. They were mostly there for Azalea. If you happen to play Riptides, very good card though. I mean, like if Riptide's a meta pick, so like these are a lot of the sideboard very meta dependent. I'll say so.
Okay.
Command and Conquer, Steelblade Shunt, even Reinforce and Oasis, all very meta call picks. So we have a good what I like about the deck a lot, very modular. We have a lot of tools at our disposal that we can bring in depending on what we need to target in the meta.
And this is the benefit of running a pure combo deck as opposed to a switch deck or even a pure Raiden deck, because a pure Raiden deck is not going to be running a high enough blue count to really support unmovable, and it probably has its sideboard slots dedicated to different things. Um, yeah, there's a lot of like auto includes that this deck doesn't have, like Illuminate and Bolting Blade are like the ones that come to mind. Um, so a lot in terms of sideboarding, like a Saber's combo Bolted actually has some of the most slots of any deck, because the main deck is so slim and streamlined that it can afford a lot of silver bullets in the sideboard. Speaking of silver bullets, you got 2 copies of Reinforce the Line. So this, I guess, against the pummel decks, against Azalea. Just
I mean, yeah, this just straight up Reinforce is so good. I mean, I've considered it even running it into decks like KO. But we can't afford with KO, we can't afford to ever have if we ever have this card and we don't have an attack in hand, which is a possibility, we just straight up lose. So like we need to not. So we don't run it into KO, we don't run it into Rhinar, but you run it into Guardians, because if you can line it up against a pummel, that's a ton of value.
yeah. So you have 30 attack actions. So you should have like a 95% chance to have it.
Yeah, you should be pretty good.
There is a chance, especially if cards get intimidated. So
yeah.
Okay.
Don't run this into Rhinar.
Yeah, don't run into Rhinar. All right, you got 2 copies of Oasis Respite. Obviously, this comes in against Kano, comes in against Assassin, but tell me a little bit more about this card.
Oasis Respite, also, yeah, it comes in against Kano, and I like it in an Assassin. I like it into Guardian, where the life, I mean, and I will say the life gain is pretty relevant. Like, right? Like, I can tell you the difference, 1 health difference may not seem like a lot, but there are many games which turn on a 1 health difference. So being able to gain a life, very relevant. Being able to it not being a react when we're so heavy. So you're playing into, I mean, there's even like if you knew you were playing into like a Dreadbore Riptide or something, you might want this. Just a solid role filler. Honestly, it could be something else too. Like there's value. I mean, I think that there's value in Oasis in the current meta, where there's a lot of decks that have dominate. There's a lot of decks that are attacking you at react speed. You might even, like, if you were playing like Dorinthia and you knew they were on Dawnblade, this is a very solid card to bring in, because you just want to increase your react count. So just increasing our react count basically with a card that isn't a defense reaction is valuable.
Sure. Okay, so we've covered all the defensive cards. Let's just kind of go top to bottom here. So there's 3 copies of Command and Conquer. why are these in the deck list, and what matchups are you bringing them into?
So Command and Conquer is another threat that we can put into our deck. It helps us bulk our deck up a little bit against decks that maybe we think we want to fatigue, or maybe we need a really solid one card play against. So decks like Azalea is primary Azalea. This is actually quite good into if you know a Guardian is particularly defensive too. If you ever catch them with a really heavy defense reaction hand and you just played this Command and Conquer, it can just win the game sometimes. Like basically where it's like, oops, I have a bunch of reacts and this is awkward. But you know, against Azalea, they'll just eat it. They'll eat Command and Conquer every time. And so but that's just value for you. You get to get rid of their arsenal. They don't get to opt that turn. Maybe it gives you a turn of breathing room to kind of like do it. It's also, if you get codexed, it is like if you're in a situation where you couldn't park something in arsenal and you get codexed, it's a great option to bring back. Because even at the frailty rate of 5, it's still gonna necessitate 2-card block from them, which means your next turn you get a little bit, again, that it buys us breathing room. I think that's why Command and Conquer exists, is it means we're a little bit safe. We're generally gonna get 2 cards for it, and that means their offensive value on the next turn is much less.
Okay. Also relevant as a popper, if you include a single copy of Bolting Blade, this makes them worry that you got 9 poppers in your deck. So yeah, solid card. You got 2 copies of Oath of Steel. We've referred to this as half a Lumina. This is one of the most niche cards in the whole game, but it does see good use in pure Saber combo decks. Yeah.
I think it's an MVP. I mean, just increases your damage output. It functions as effectively. Like, I consider this another copy of Lumina Ascension. It really is. It's not quite as good, but you know, in conjunction with a double Lumina and Gallantry, this is 42 damage.
Yes, this is a 1-card 12.
Yeah.
If you draw it off of Bolt of Courage, Warband of Bolana, or you draw this as your 5th card and you don't pop Gallantry Gold still, this is more value than using this for Gallantry Gold, because you can also use Gallantry Gold post combo, which is actually something you sometimes do. So 1-card 12 or a 1-card 20 on a triple Lumina turn.
triple Lumina plus Oath kills like every deck in the format. Yes. That's like there's not a deck that lives through that.
There's currently no deck in the format that lives through that much of a beatdown. Okay. I actually can think of one. Triple Feign Death Riptide.
That would do it. That would do it.
You feign death 3 times. Okay. Okay, let's talk about these blues at the bottom. Okay, this is I'm sure a lot of people are gonna wonder, why are there 3 blue Blade Runners at the sideboard? This is really weird.
Blue Blade Runner in the sideboard, if we need to into matchups where we need to up our blue count, primarily I'm looking at you, Kano. We need to up our blue count. We want more blues. Also, if we need to fat deck a little bit, like this is just a really solid roll, like a really solid card to put in. It doesn't get pitched it doesn't get put into Soul by Lumina. So it means, again, like in that post endgame state where we're gonna need some blues to play our via the vanguards, to do our Blade Runner turn, to do even our blade, like even if you've managed to keep your Iron Song verses into the post combo, you get to go like pitch a blue or versus then swing Hot Streak off a blue and then Blade Flurry it over, and it get to push 1 additional damage on your Blade Flurry turn. So blue Blade Runner, again, this is mostly in the sideboard due to the way that I like to sideboard. It is comes in most matchups. The only matchups it doesn't come into are ones that I think are going to be so quick that I'm not really worried about like the blue count in my post combo state. Like those are the only matchups where it doesn't come in. I usually bring in at least two though. While I the third only comes in and like I need to fat deck like.
Mhm. Okay. And the energy potion, this is played mostly when you need to triple Lumina.
Yeah.
We talked about a little bit already how it's used in conjunction to activate Warband of Boltyn. So I guess I'll walk people through this combo. So you have Epod on the field, you have Spirit of Arena on the field. You draw a suitable hand. You pop the Epot. You pop Courage. You pop Warband. You attack with your Saber or Hot Streak. Then you can flash in your Luminas, and you would obviously draw a card from the Warband if you have a yellow. And that card draw could be a third Lumina, could be a Oath of Steel, but it would basically be used to pay for the Gallantry Gold on the second attack in most situations. So the Energy Potion plus Warband of Boltyn basically adds 7 damage, which is 7 damage to a triple Lumina combo, basically ensures that you can win the game that turn against most decks.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else that we need to talk about? I guess let's chit chat a little bit. Let's just give the people at home one example sideboard. So let's say you're playing against KO. You have your 49 card main deck. What are you adding?
Okay, so we're gonna bring in. We need to bring in 11 cards. 6 of those are gonna be Fate Foreseen and Sink Below.
Okay.
We're gonna bring in at least 2 Blade Runners. I'd probably just go ahead and bring in all 3. We're not gonna go late, but against KO, the thing is we do want to maximize our ability to make sure we can combo. So like having a blue ensures that on the turn that if we want to Bologna, we have the resources to do so. So I would bring in the blade runners, and then you have 2 slots remaining, which are going to be Oath of Steel. Oath of Steel, basically again, almost a main board deck or almost a main board card. But there are certain matchups where it doesn't make sense to run it. So yeah, we bring in the Oaths against KO for that high roll potential. And KO's here's an interesting one with KO. It's a good example because there is a world in which you could take out 2 copies of Take Flight and put in 2 copies of Command and Conquer, because Command and Conquer, they have to respond by blocking 2 cards most of the time. They're almost always going to give you 2 cards. Sometimes you cash them with a hand which doesn't block, and KO is a setup deck. So blowing up their arsenal will generally save you, like, consider it like 6, probably average 6 damage. Something to think about. If they have like a Blood Rush in arsenal, they're going to protect it. You've bought yourself a turn from being Blood Rushed. Which, sometimes that there's value. I generally just leave the Take Flights in, but I've experimented with bringing in Command and Conquers.
Okay. So sometimes you do go over 60 cards, or you generally are keeping closer to 60.
I want to stay as close to 60 as I possibly can into almost every single matchup, because that ensures that we draw combo pieces sooner. It ensures that we draw Spirit. Like, we have a better chance of drawing Spirit. 1-of card, so we're at the whims of fate with drawing Spirit. But if we can increase our chance of drawing it as much as possible by running as close to 60 as we can, we want to. I would maybe run, the most I would ever consider running in most matchups is 62. That's just like, if you don't want to cut something for some reason, you could run 62, would probably be okay. Doesn't change the math too much, but just runs a clean 60, I'd say.
Okay. Well, you are a wealth of knowledge. Thanks so much for joining. joining the Card Guys Discord YouTube channel for this deck tech. I guess let's wrap things up with, let's talk about like what metagame or which heroes is this deck favored into, and which heroes is this unfavored into?
This is a super, honestly, you could talk, I think we could talk for a long time about this, but we'll like, because I don't know about you, Josh, but I have talked to people, and I have talked to almost every hero in existence has told me that they're favored into this matchup at some point. And I think it's really funny, and I think that goes to show you it's a really difficult deck. It's really hard to play it correctly. And I'm not even saying that I'm doing that. I've had some success, so I think I'm okay. But it's hard. It's a really hard deck. So I think this deck is really strong into metas that are mid-range focused, where people are wanting to make a lot of value trades, because you are just going to say, like, you are really good at keeping a 2-card hand. Like, if people are allowing you to keep 2-card hands, that's a great world for this deck to be in, because you get to build your soul, you get to present like Blade Runner, like there's lots of things you can do. So I think it's favored into decks that are not super duper aggressive. Like, and so the level of aggression has to be Azalea. Like, we're talking like they need to be presenting like not only a ton of damage, but Azalea is a hard vector because they attack you for lots of damage. It's all dominate, and then they have a ton of arsenal disruption effects. So it's hard to set up your combo pieces. It's even hard to set up like a D-react in Arsenal sometimes against Azalea if they keep like inertiaing you or seek and destroying you. So that, I think Azalea definitely an unfavored matchup. Assassin can be hard. I don't know. I don't know if I don't feel like I've played it enough to say it's unfavored. I just think it's a very difficult match. They have a lot of arsenal disruption. They banish like randomly. You can just lose to random banishes off assassin. Like, they managed to push some random contract card through and it hits a Luma and you're just like, you die inside.
Yeah, eradicate hitting Lumina is one of the saddest feelings.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Only next to getting your Courage of Bladehold shredded because you were.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, so assassin, you like can't block with your armor because they might, like, you can't ever block with courage almost unless there's just a quick,
or they have birds in hand. So
yeah, it's really hard. So I think you're favored into slower decks that like don't like anything that's like slow that isn't presenting a lot of disruption. Honestly, any deck that just isn't presenting disruption is generally speaking going to be okay. With the advent of I would have said that KO was a favored matchup. I think with Sash it's probably closer to 50-50. Because Sash just like allows them to push that extra little bit of damage that was keeping them. But I still think that I think it might be closer to like 55 in Boltyn's favor against KO. So I think like a brute meta is a great meta to be playing combo Boltyn. They're just pushing numbers, and you push good defensive numbers. You're also very good into Guardians because you can set up triple Lumina and kill them through a lot of armor. People, I have been told, and I'm interested to hear what you think about this, Josh. I don't think that this spec is unfavored into Warriors. A lot of people have told me it is, but I don't think it is. That's my opinion.
I think the Warrior player has to know exactly what's going on.
Yes. If they have a very good
died to
knowledge
this deck the very first time I encountered it. I was like, what the heck is going on? Now that if I have perfect knowledge of what to do and a little bit of luck, I think I'm okay.
Yeah,
but it's still not comfortable.
Yeah, and it's like because
there's counterplay, like you said, with the counterplay instead of the triple Lumina. Yeah,
and if you're on like a hatchets list, I'm good. Like, the thing is, you just can't present. Most of the time, hatchet lists cannot present enough damage to threaten me, and you have no disruption. So I'm just like, I can give myself an intellect penalty, sit on a combo piece for like a lot of turns before it starts to matter.
Yes. Yep. True. Okay. Well, it sounds like the current metagame is pretty decent. Brutes, Guardians, Warriors, all pretty good for Sir Boltyn.
The last matchup I'll say is Ninja can be a little bit touch and go. You just have to have again, that comes back to your blocking knowledge though. Like if you know how to block really well, it's usually fine. But it's hard.
Yep. Yeah, Ninja is one of the toughest matchups for me personally, so that's something I need to work on. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Alex, do you have any, I guess, shout outs or
No,
hi
just
mom,
shout
I'm
outs.
on TV type of situation?
Yeah. No, just shout outs to TheCardGuyz. Thanks for having me on. I'm sure I'll shout out my kids because I'm sure they'll like to watch this video at some point. Ruben, Faye, and Aria, hi. You can say hi to my kids. They were very excited. Their dad won some event. So I'm part of the Fab Dad community. So
Ah,
we'll say hi to them.
yeah. Yeah, Bolt's fun fact, Boltyn is a dad, so Fab Dad's
Yeah,
from
there you
Boltyn. Yeah,
go.
there you go.
Fab Dads unite with Boltyn.
All right. So for those of you at home, the deck list is in the description. Like we've said, word of warning, the general public's win rate with this deck is probably going to be 45% if I had to guess. With practice, Alex and I have gotten to, 75, 80%, but the first few games will be rough, so warning there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the deck list is down there. If you guys want to join our Discord, we got a bunch of cool people there that chit chat about the game. We also have a spoiler coming out very, very soon, so that will be exciting. We still haven't recorded our video for that yet, but we're gonna come up with something. All right. This has been Josh Lau and Alex Slotnick. Thanks for watching. Take care.